There are just 5 days to go to Eurovision, the final of the most watched non-sporting contest in the world. A song competition that attracts 120 million viewers worldwide.
Only love can set you free.
Engelbert Humperdinck is representing the UK. But this year, it's in a country which is no ordinary host nation. We're undercover in the former Soviet Republic of Azerbaijan. We're being followed again, and 2 government agents were waiting for us in the hotel foyer this morning. Home to a ruling dynasty accused of exploiting the contest.
The president of Azerbaijan, the government of Azerbaijan, is building its propaganda on Eurovision.
A country where a Eurovision vote attracts attention from state security.
They ask why I voted for Armenia. They took a statement from me and applied some pressure.
Where just making fun of the regime might land you in jail.
At the end, we were sentenced to 2 and 2.5 years in prison.
In fact, if you were marking Azerbaijan's human rights record, you might award
Nil point.
We arrive on a chilly April evening. Azerbaijan doesn't welcome investigative journalists, so we're here as tourists, unsure what'll happen if we're caught. The interviews will be done discreetly, indoors. Any outdoor filming will be done on a tourist camera. This is the song which won them last year's competition, and with it the right to host this year's. Running Scared. Some people in Azerbaijan have been doing just that for years. A hilltop high above the capital, Baku. The flame is for the country's war dead. It's also a symbol of the vast gas and oil reserves which led the ancients to call this place the Land of Fire. Azerbaijan produces almost 1 million barrels of oil every day. The revenues have helped make the ruling family, Ilham Aliyev, his wife and 3 children, fabulously rich, along with their inner circle. Just across there is downtown Baku, which looks out over the Caspian Sea. And if you come a bit further this way, you can find the development which Azerbaijan has spent so much money on to impress the world. First of all, there's that enormous flagpole which is 40 stories high. And just to the left of that is Baku Crystal Hall, built specifically for the Eurovision Song Contest. It's going to seat more than 20,000 people. Most in the UK view the song contest with a large dose of irony. Its high kitsch charm stretches back 5 decades.
Power to all our friends.
I was defeated, you won the war. But if you want to see some more, like a puppet on a string.
Eurovision organisers are determined politics and pop don't mix, but some artists are happy for the spotlight to fall a little wider.
The Eurovision is fantastic. I think the artist's job is to just draw attention to something and allow people to sort it out for themselves. You know, it's not our job to do that. There are people like politicians and journalists and people like yourself in the media. That's your job.
Well, there we have it.
Of the Eurovision Song Contest 2011 is Azerbaijan.
But it wasn't just last year's winning act who were breathless with excitement. The regime must have been too, because in Azerbaijan, the competition is up there with hosting the Football World Cup or the Olympics. Criticised by some as repressive, this is a chance for Azerbaijan to sing a song of respectability.
First family of Azerbaijan is building its propaganda. The president of Azerbaijan, the government of Azerbaijan, is building its propaganda on Eurovision. It's not fair. I mean, it's not fair. That's it.
Though the regime denies it, Azerbaijan has previously taken advantage of the contest for political ends.
How can I stay when you are away?
In 2009, this was the entry of their longtime enemy, Armenia. Azerbaijan fought a bloody border conflict with Armenia, one that's still smouldering. So whilst we in the UK watched the Armenian entry, in Azerbaijan, someone pulled the plug. Watching that night was pro-democracy supporter Rovshan Nazirli.
I took out my phone. I thought about who I should vote for. When the act from Armenia performed, Azeri TV stopped the broadcast.
Now it's time to vote.
As a protest, I voted for Armenia.
What Rovshan did might not sound like a major political statement, but in Azerbaijan, voting for the enemy, even in a song competition, is a risk. Do you have any sympathy or support for Armenia? Is that why you voted for them?
I didn't even hear that song. I have no sympathies. It was just a protest.
The lines are now closed. Please don't call. Your vote won't count.
Or if you're in Azerbaijan, you might end up in the Ministry of National Security.
I didn't want to go at first. They told me your mobile number is a part of a criminal investigation.
Some other viewers who voted for Armenia were also questioned.
They asked why I voted for Armenia. They took a statement from me and applied some pressure.
And were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared. We just had an argument. They threatened they were going to hold me there, that they will show me on TV.
This year, the Armenians have pulled out, afraid for the safety of their contestants. The people who run Eurovision are based here in Geneva. The European Broadcasting Union sets the rules. Key is that the contest remains apolitical. In 2009, there were a number of people who voted for Armenia who ended up being taken in for questioning.
Yes, yeah, it's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
But that shows us, doesn't it, that the Azeri government, the regime there, has politicised this song contest already.
And that's what we try to prevent, of course. But yes, it is. They try, actually. But and that's why we have strict rules and we try to prevent it.
Driving through the capital, Baku, a big brother figure gazes down. It's the face of a former hardline ruler from the Soviet era, Heydar Aliyev, who became president of Azerbaijan after a coup. Before he died, he handed power to his son, Ilham Aliyev, the current president. This is his wife, the glamorous Mehriban, and their two style-conscious daughters, Layla, who lives in London, and Arzu. There's a son too, 15-year-old Heydar Jr., who's already acquired vast wealth at a tender age. More of the first family later. We went to meet activist and journalist Emin Husyanov from the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety. And these are the offices, yeah? Yeah. The staff here take it in turns to stay in the office overnight, so the secret police can't break in and plant bugs.
The government tried to control us and keep us under surveillance. They use different means to provoke us. They can arrest journalists on trumped-up charges. They kill them, and they wouldn't try to find and punish the killers.
Emin was himself beaten whilst attending these protests during the 2003 presidential election, the one which saw Aliyev come to power. Then again, in an unprovoked attack in 2008, when he was arrested.
My imprisonment was ordered from above. These days they don't beat me, but other journalists, because I'm more experienced now and well known.
Another journalist, Elmar Husyanov, was renowned for his hard-hitting criticism of the regime. He was convicted of insulting the nation, forced to close his press agency, harassed, intimidated, jailed. Then in 2005, he arrived home to find someone waiting for him. He was shot 7 times, and the murder remains unsolved. Many other government critics are in jail. Human rights groups say the regime has around 70 political prisoners. This is how the US Embassy described President Aliyev in a leaked cable in 2009.
Aliyev takes the actions he does in order to eliminate even the semblance of risk to his political prominence. His goal appears to be a political environment in which the Aliyev dynasty is unchallenged.
We're off to a rare event on the outskirts of Baku, an opposition rally sanctioned by the regime. It was going to be difficult to pose as tourists here. The secret police were not so secret. Our fixer had already started pointing them out. See, there's a guy. Can you see the guy on the ledge coming up on the left who's filming? And there's various other guys in kind of dark sunglasses and suits. But those who attend know they may be identified, though what'll happen to the information is unclear. This is more about intimidation. They have to get permission to hold a demonstration like this, and this is only the 2nd time since 2006 they've been allowed to do it. And it's no great mystery why, of course. It's because world attention is now on Azerbaijan because of the Eurovision Song Contest. We wanted to speak to some of those attending, but our translator said that would single them out and they could risk arrest. Instead, an opposition leader, Ali Karimli, arranged to meet with us the following day. And we left, not wanting to push our luck. But it seemed we were too late.
So the undercover agent in a Fiat car is following us. Okay.
So what should we do? Should we go to a hotel that's not ours or something like that?
To some other hotel and hang on there until they're gone.
Eventually, we lost them. The next morning, we arrived at the apartment of the opposition leader.
Many of my relatives are under arrest. The rest were sacked from their jobs. My passport was taken away from me 7 years ago. Our party office has been seized from us. Sometimes the government stages rallies right in front of my house. They demand that I leave the country. We are under constant pressure and control.
Despite all that, he stood for Parliament twice. After the 2005 election, European monitors reported intimidation, ballot box stuffing and counting violations. This is how the regime dealt with the peaceful protest that followed. When you leave the house, are you followed?
Every time they accompany me, it is like they're sending me a message. We are always with you. We share your life. We receive all your messages. I have been living like this for a long time.
And today, we seem to have brought our own tale right to his door. We've only been here for 2 days and we know we're being followed now. There were 3 men in the hotel reception this morning who jumped in a car behind us, followed us all the way here, and we've just come down having finished an interview. The same 3 men are standing outside. Moments later, they jumped in a car and followed us again. On the surface, Baku appears like any prosperous European city. The familiar brands, eye-catching architecture, status symbol cars. But beneath the surface, the power of the ruling family is never far away. The president's wife, Mehriban, is an MP, elected to parliament with an implausible 94% of the vote. We put the allegations of rigged elections to the London ambassador.
What I can tell you definitely that each election is better than the previous one, of course.
Come on, is it realistic that an MP can get 94% of the vote?
Why not? Why not?
94% in an election is just inconceivable. It can't be fair, can it?
It can, and it cannot be. I don't know that case which we are speaking about, but I do not know that...
This is the First Lady, this is the President's wife when she was elected to Parliament.
Now, that's with all my confidence, I will tell you that that was definitely real, confident, and she is capable to get even, I'm very sincere, more than that.
The First Lady is also chairwoman of Azerbaijan's Eurovision Committee. And she's been able to rope in the family. Her son-in-law, pop star Emin Algarov, will sing to the Eurovision audience whilst viewers cast their votes.
Just for one night, I promise you anything.
It looks suspiciously like a family affair and another opportunity for them to promote themselves as the ruling family.
Yeah, well, that was my first reaction as well when I heard it.
And what have you done about it? Is there anything you can do?
I can't do anything about it.
Is it acceptable?
I can't hide myself. It is quite, it was amazing. Having the son-in-law on stage was probably more sort of surprising. And I've been told that he's actually really a good singer.
The impression it gives is that them using this, the Eurovision, exploiting it
the impression
as a platform.
is something we would say, ooh, is this really necessary? Yes, I have to admit that.
One musician knew he'd never be appearing at the Eurovision. He's in the dangerous game of writing protest songs. This is what he's singing about, the bulldozing of apartments close to the Eurovision arena. Old communist blocks aren't what the regime wants the Eurovision audience to see. They ordered residents to leave, many refused, and the authorities moved in while some were still inside.
It was around 5 a.m. when I heard a noise and the building shook. A bulldozer had started demolishing the other side of the building. We were scared, and I ran out with my children.
The evictions have happened across Baku, but accelerated after Azerbaijan won the right to host Eurovision. They've been condemned by human rights groups around the world. But the contest organisers compare what's happened to the London Olympics.
To be very frank, I think evictions are taking place everywhere. It is more about the way you're doing it, about proper procedures and compensations. And here I can't comment because I don't know. But again, when the Olympic Village was built in London, there were evictions as well. And you had heavy protests everywhere.
People were subsidised though, and they were given plenty of notice.
Yeah, but they were subsidised and they thought it's not enough. And that what has been offered was not good enough. So I think those kind of discussions you will find in every country.
Though compensated, some say they only received a fraction of the market price. The regime says the evictions were unrelated to the contest and were part of a 3-year reconstruction plan that predates the Eurovision. But what of Jamal, the man who sang about it? A couple of months ago, he was on stage at a youth rally. Secret police were in the crowd. A stranger heckled him to stop swearing.
And then I told, okay, you want to hear some swearing? Here you go, and I swear in address of president twice. The next scene I remember, it was four guys taking me one hand, and one leg. And I was just flying to the car, and they was beating me while taking me to the car. And then to the police station, beating, then to the court, again beatings in some court. And the decision was 10 days for me, 6 days for another guitarist, and 5 days for the guy who was trying to help us to pull us out from the car, police hands.
This is 10 days in prison?
Yeah.
He says they tortured him and gave him an unexpected deadline.
They were beating me in the barefoot to my heels, and they were just telling me, okay, if you don't leave the country until the Eurovision, and you will stay and go on with your activities, you'll get arrested and come here to this room again, and it'll be not that easy the second time.
He's already fled the country. Stories like that have made the organisers feel uneasy. How important is it for the EBU to champion free speech?
Very important. Absolutely one of the core values, because without free speech, without freedom of expression, you're not able to actually fulfill the core remit.
Azerbaijan doesn't respect free speech, does it?
No, it doesn't.
This video blogger was sentenced to 2 years in jail for satirising the regime. His story begins with a bill for 2 donkeys, which an agriculture minister claimed cost 42,000 euros each. 42,000, and how much would a donkey normally be?
In Azerbaijan, $50.
Rumours took hold that the payments were a kickback, and so Adnan made a satirical video for the web.
We thought, okay, if this donkey costs 42,000 euros, there must be something special about him. He's probably educated, he can speak 4 or 5 languages, he can play violin, he has 2 degrees, I don't know, what have you. And we put together this mock press conference with the donkey.
But someone in the regime didn't share his sense of humour. 2 weeks later, this happened in a restaurant.
2 athletes approached us out of nowhere, yelled at us, started using profane language, and started beating us. They first headbutted my friend Emin. He fell to the ground. When I tried to support him, they started to beat me down.
The attackers were released, but Adnan and his friend ended up here, accused of assault in a Baku courtroom, in what was a thinly disguised political trial for 2 satirists who'd mocked the regime.
First of all, they dismissed most of our witnesses. They dismissed our evidence on some baseless grounds. After that, they made all the policemen come and testify against us.
He served 17 months in jail. The government says it's emerging from the shadow of its Soviet past. There are no political prisoners, only criminals in jail, and free speech is guaranteed under the Constitution.
We're only 20 years old. This is not an excuse, please. But this is objectively. I mean, definitely 20 years is not much time. I don't say we're perfect, everything is perfect. We do have problems, of course.
It remains one of the 40 most corrupt countries in the world. This is the reality for many here. Grim poverty, meagre pensions, poor sanitation, a healthcare system dominated by a culture of bribes. Its oil wealth remains in the hands of the very few. In public places, people refuse to speak to us about the Aliyev regime. But the US Embassy reported this.
The Aliyev administration has developed an organized crime image in some quarters, leading some analysts to see Ilham Aliyev at times in a mafia-like role.
It is mafia state.
And who runs the mafia?
I would say it's the President Aliyev and his family.
Hadija Ismailova specializes in investigating the ruling family's wealth. In the run-up to Eurovision, it seems she's paid a heavy price. One day, she received this in the post.
And inside the envelope, there was a small note with a piece of paper saying that you whore behave or you will be defamed. And 6 pictures. Pictures were taken from the video footage and showing me engaged in sexual relations.
And how had they managed to take these pictures?
Basically, they planted camera into my bedroom.
So they've been watching you?
They've been watching me.
And waiting for something that they could effectively blackmail you about?
Yes, that's what happened.
The video was published on a website. By the time she and her friends inspected the flat, the secret cameras had gone. Only drill holes and wiring remained.
It was shocking. And I Well, the first thing I discovered that I'm very angry. And the anger was bigger than fear. And it was bigger than anything then. First thing I did, I told myself, this is not gonna affect my work.
President Ilham Aliyev draws an official salary of less than £150,000 a year. But Panorama's discovered that his immediate family have corporate interests here, in a range of companies registered in the secrecy jurisdiction of Panama. Wherever you turn in Baku, it seems you're never too far away from the financial tentacles of the ruling family. Even when you use the phone, the president's daughters are listed as directors of companies linked to one of the main telephone networks. If you wanted to buy gold, the president's daughters might help you out again. They've acquired a financial stake in a gold mine in the west of the country. The smartest hotel in Baku. One of the people behind it is the president's 15-year-old son. He also bought property on the luxury Palm Island development in Dubai, worth around $40 million. Not bad for a schoolboy. Were you embarrassed at all when you heard that the president's son has some real estate on the Dubai Palm?
You know, I don't believe in everything that is in the newspapers, frankly speaking.
The family of President Aliyev have various companies based in Panama, and I'm struggling to understand the connection between Panama and Azerbaijan.
I don't have that information, frankly speaking.
Is it a delicate area to discuss?
Definitely it is a delicate area because I'm not a member of the family. I mean, I cannot answer on the issues which are related to the family.
The family refused to answer our questions. Back here, Engelbert's been on the publicity trail. The BBC invited him to become the face of Eurovision for the UK. We wanted to ask him how he felt about the human rights record in Azerbaijan, but his management seemed keen he shouldn't speak to us. Engelbert, I'm from the BBC and I just wanted to know what it means to you to be representing your country in Azerbaijan.
I'm just excited. I love the idea and I'm honoured. And,
Good.
And we've got a plane to catch.
No, I know you have.
Yeah.
Are you worried at all there's a danger of being seen to endorse the regime?
Sorry, come on. No, I'm not worried about anything.
As a Eurovision contestant, perhaps you wouldn't expect him to comment on politics.
Only love can set you free.
The organisers, however, insist they're not endorsing the regime or the way it behaves, just playing by the rules.
You will see what's going on in Azerbaijan. And the good thing is you probably do it because there is the Eurovision Song Contest. Otherwise you wouldn't report about it. So that's the good part of the Song Contest. But why are we going with the Song Contest to Azerbaijan? Because it's according to the rules.
The Eurovision has, for the moment, allowed us to pull back the curtain on this regime. But the question is, what will happen once the cameras have gone? Next week, just days away from Euro 2012, Chris Rogers reveals shocking evidence of anti-Semitism, racism and attacks on foreigners in Poland and Ukraine.